Hi grade 8, this is a little video on just how you can make your graphs using Excel if you want to have more than one trend line on the graph. So this is just a made up little one about height against time, and I've got my 4 different people that participated, so Bob, Tim, Sarah and Jess. And in this case, I was changing the height. So I put my independent variable going down in my spreadsheet, and what I was measuring, which was the time, I'm putting across in my spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm using my rows to show the different heights. So I had 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters and 30 centimeters, and my times, okay, in seconds for each of them were given across like so. So I'm going to simply just highlight them, and I'm going to go across to my graph thing over here, so insert chart, which I've got over this. Now I don't want my graph to look like this. I actually want to use a scatter chart, so I can add a trend line in. So I'm going to click over onto scatter graph. Okay, now at this point, we should be able to see that I'm actually getting 5 different sort of trends appearing. So I've got Jess, Sarah, Tim and Bob, and I've also got the blue dot. Now the blue one at the moment is actually corresponding to my height, so what I want to do is remove it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over onto the side, onto series, and this is where I have to look. Well, I want to keep Bob, Tim, Sarah and Jess. I want to keep all of theirs in, but I don't want to have those ones there, the heights, the 10, 20 and 30 as data points. So I'm going to remove that. Okay, so at this point, I now just have the 4 people's results. My x-axis, I want that to be the heights on there. At the moment, it's telling me it's just B2 to 4, so it's just telling me it's height. So they actually haven't given me any data values. So to do that, what I'm going to do again is I'm going to remove that from the bottom, and I'm going to add my own x-axis in. I'm going to add it, and I want it to be my C column, because my C column was my heights that I was using. And we should now see that at 10, at 20, and at 30, I'm getting those values. Okay, so at this point, we can start playing around with the customization to make our graphs look a little bit nicer and neater. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to make this vertical axis a little bit kind of more spread out so I can see all my data values. So I'd like to be able to see them more clearly, so I feel like that my minimum value should be at 4. And my maximum value, I could change that a little bit as well to make it a little bit clearer to see. Looking on here, this goes up to about 9.2, so maybe I can make it 9.5. And I can see those data points a little bit better. The other thing I can do is I can add in my trend lines. So I can go to series, and I can apply to all, and I can play trend line in. So at this point, I can see those different trend lines, and I can see that they're all increasing. But again, I haven't now said what this axis means and this axis means. So if I want to do that, I'm going to go to my chart and axis title, and I can click on my horizontal title. In this case, my horizontal title was the height, and that was in centimeters. Now, for your experiment that you guys were doing, that might be something different. We weren't looking at heights in ours. On the vertical axis, I was measuring the time, and the time was in seconds. So I can simply place that in as well. And again, we should see those nice and clearly on there. If I want to go for my chart title, again, let's say a graph showing the relationship between the height or drop height and the time of fall. So again, giving a little bit more, and I can format it and put it in the center using this down here. So that's a little bit on creating graphs if you want to put more than one trend line on the same graph. It's really important the way you set up your spreadsheet. So remember your Y axis, so what you're going to be putting up on the Y is what goes across in the different columns. And what you want to be on your X axis, okay, so your independent variable should be going down onto the different columns there, so different rows there. Again, you might need to play around a little bit on the setup with your series. You might have to remove them. You might have to also define what goes on your x-axis, which again you can do over here. All right, I hope that helps.